Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into a world that sounds like something out of an action movie. Picture this, late Jurassic North America, a place so tough they call it the land of the giants. You've got titanic sauropods shaking the ground, and massive predators like Allosaurus and Torvosaurus ruling the landscape. It was a brutal, unforgiving world. But in this land of titans, one dinosaur proved that you don't have to be the biggest to be the baddest. So grab your gear, because today we're uncovering the story of the Jurassic Badlands' ultimate hellhound, the one and only Ceratosaurus. Let's rewind the clock to 1883. Paleontologists digging in the legendary Morrison Formation, a huge stretch of Jurassic rock covering 13 US states, hit the absolute jackpot. They found a new theropod skeleton, and the exciting part was that it was nearly complete. In the world of fossil hunting, that's like finding a treasure chest full of gold. This amazing preservation meant scientists could study it super quickly. Just 1 year later, in 1884, the famous paleontologist Othniel Marsh officially described it and gave it its awesome name, Ceratosaurus, which means horned lizard, a perfect nod to its most unique feature. Because the skeleton was so complete, Ceratosaurus became the best-known theropod in America at the time. But even with all that information, Marsh's first reconstruction was, well, a little wonky. He gave it the wrong proportions and a posture that we now know was incorrect. Thankfully, over the last century, our understanding of dinosaurs has exploded, and with new specimens being unearthed, we have a much clearer picture of what this ferocious animal was really like. So how big was this so-called hellhound? Ceratosaurus was a medium-sized theropod, but its exact size depends on which specimen you're looking at. The main species, Ceratosaurus nasicornis, typically measured around 18.7 feet long, though some individuals pushed 20 feet. But then there's another potential species, Ceratosaurus dentisulcatus, which was even bigger. One specimen of this guy reached an impressive 23 feet long and is thought to have weighed nearly a ton, making it as heavy as a large American bison. Now, there's a bit of a scientific debate here. Some paleontologists argue that these larger fossils aren't a different species at all, but just fully grown older Nasicornis. The jury is still out, but either way, Ceratosaurus was a seriously powerful predator, even if it was a bit smaller than giants like Allosaurus. To make up for its size disadvantage, Ceratosaurus developed a proportionally massive skull that was its primary weapon. The front of the skull was incredibly robust and wide, built to deliver bone-crushing bites. The back, however, was more lightly built, which gave it the flexibility to open its mouth extremely wide. This combination of power and agility made it a very versatile hunter. And its jaws were deep, built to house around 26 blade-like teeth that were huge for its size. These teeth had fine, strong serrations, meaning Ceratosaurus didn't just bite, it tore. It would rip huge chunks of flesh from its victims, causing massive blood loss. Of course, we can't talk about the skull without mentioning its iconic horns. Ceratosaurus had two small horns just above its eyes, similar to Allosaurus. But what really made it stand out was that single prominent horn on its snout. The bony core of this horn alone was over 5 inches long, and in life it would have been covered in a keratin sheath, making it even larger. When it was first discovered, scientists thought this horn was a deadly weapon for hunting and defense, but today the thinking has shifted. Most paleontologists believe the horn wasn't strong enough for serious combat and was more likely used for social display, like showing off to rivals or attracting a mate. Beyond its incredible head, the body of Ceratosaurus was pretty typical for a theropod. It had powerful legs built for speed and, you guessed it, small arms. Its arms were actually smaller than those of other carnivores of a similar size. Some studies suggest they might have still been functional for gripping prey up close, but the real work was done by its legs. Ceratosaurus was likely an ambush predator, stalking its prey before exploding into a short, rapid chase and finishing the job with its devastating bite. But what exactly was on the menu? For a long time, everyone assumed Ceratosaurus hunted other dinosaurs, like young sauropods or stegosaurus. But then, a fascinating new theory emerged. Scientists noticed that Ceratosaurus fossils are most often found near ancient water sources like floodplains and swamps, while Allosaurus remains are found just about everywhere. This led to the idea that Ceratosaurus might have been a semi-aquatic specialist, hunting fish, ancient crocodiles, and turtles. Some even pointed to its deep, flexible tail as being crocodile-like, suggesting it was an excellent swimmer. This idea of a swimming, fish-hunting Ceratosaurus is still debated, but the modern consensus is a mix of both worlds. While it was more adapted to hunting in and around water than its rivals, it was still very much a terrestrial dinosaur that was also great at scavenging and hunting on land. This flexible diet was key to its survival, especially given all the competition. To avoid constantly fighting with bigger predators, Ceratosaurus had to carve out its own ecological niche. A brilliant 1998 study showed this in action by looking at the relationship between Ceratosaurus and Allosaurus. Researchers found that there were two different morphs of Allosaurus, one with a short snout and one with a long snout. Interestingly, Ceratosaurus fossils were common where the short-snouted Allosaurus lived, but almost never found where the long-snouted Allosaurus lived. This suggests that the long-snouted Allosaurus and Ceratosaurus had similar skull shapes and likely hunted the same prey, leading to intense competition that Ceratosaurus couldn't win. So it wisely stayed away, coexisting instead with its short-snouted cousins. Despite its best efforts to avoid conflict, life in the Jurassic was often a nightmare. Severe droughts would turn the world into a stressful, resource-scarce battleground. A site called the Mygat Moor Quarry in Colorado paints a grim picture of these times. An incredible 30% of all dinosaur fossils found there have theropod bite marks on them. That's a staggering number. And after sauropods, the most common victims were other theropods. It was a cesspit of carnage, where Ceratosaurus and Allosaurus were forced into crazed competition, scavenging, and even cannibalism just to survive. In these dark times, the fierce, hellhound nature of Ceratosaurus was put to the ultimate test. But it wasn't always so brutal. During the wet seasons, the Morrison Formation was a lush and vibrant paradise. Rivers and lakes overflowed, and life was everywhere. This is why the Morrison is one of the most fertile sources of dinosaur fossils in the world. Herds of Apatosaurus, Brachiosaurus, and Diplodocus roamed the lands, alongside other herbivores like Stegosaurus and Camptosaurus. The ecosystem was also filled with fish, turtles, lizards, frogs, and early crocodiles, all while pterosaurs soared overhead. For about 5 million years, from 153 to 148 million years ago, Ceratosaurus walked among this incredible diversity of life. But even with its grit and powerful weapons, the reign of Ceratosaurus had to end. Eventually, it, along with all the other iconic dinosaurs of the Morrison Formation, disappeared. No one knows for sure what caused their extinction, but given the boom and bust nature of its environment, it's thought that a particularly long and harsh period of drought may have finally been too much for even this Jurassic tough guy to handle. And that is the incredible story of Ceratosaurus, the horned lizard, the versatile predator, and the true hellhound of the Jurassic Badlands. What do you think of this amazing dinosaur? Let me know down in the comments.